everyone, and welcome to Matcha Talk. I'm so excited to introduce my next guest to you, the talented Larissa Marcano. I've had the fortune of working with Larissa on my animated series, Bad Date Kate, and Kate's spin-off series, The Babies. You can see her work on my website, and I'll have links up at the end of our Matcha Talk. And I'm just really excited to share her story with you. So everybody, grab your matchas and let's get started. Hello everyone, and welcome to this wonderful episode of Matcha Talk with the talented Larissa Marcano. I'm so excited to have this talk with Larissa. She is a story artist, illustrator, animator, costume designer, and Larissa, welcome.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for inviting me to let you talk on your Matcha Talk. It's my first time ever being interviewed on a podcast, so it's kind of new to me.
I'm so excited to have you. And Larissa, working with you has been absolutely incredible. The first time I saw your work, I think it was this beautiful 3D background that you did, and I said, this is amazing. She is incredible. Let me reach out to her, talk to her, and your illustrations are beautiful. The work that you've done, and I want to know a little bit about your background. So, how did you get into animation, illustration, design, all of that beautiful creativity that you do?
Well, I think the best thing to start with is honestly, my mom has been saying that I've been drawing since I was 2 years old, and since then she's sort of lingered me towards art, always buying me sketchbooks and coloring books and whatnot. And it wasn't until I was in community college where I was also doing a bunch of other stuff, Japanese foreign language and film editing and whatnot, that my mom was like, "You're only happy when you're drawing, so go to art school." And that's basically what's been set up for me now. And I'm almost done with art school. I'm almost graduating. I'm in my first senior year. So I'm hoping to go back for my master's in animation so I can actually start animating, because I've done all this other stuff for development and animation, and for films and fine art and all that other stuff and graphic design. So I've been doing all the preparation work on the background, but now I want to do the very tedious work, which is basically animation. And it's like exhausting and whatnot. And you just sit there and you just flip pages all the time. But I really am in love with the movements, because you're studying movements, really. And it's actually really amazing and fun to look at how people have managed to create something to come to life. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of passionate stories and characters that I've been working on for a while to the point of me just wanting to actually create them and bring them to life in my own way. So
absolutely. And you do, Larissa. I mean, truly, from working with you on these beautiful illustrations, right, from Kate's blog, because, Kate loves her food and especially her matcha. And you really bringing those pieces to life, as well as your costume designs, right? That and truly working with you is incredible, because your sense of fashion and style, it is so beautiful. And I'll just say she's in this mood, or she's doing this, and you're like, okay, and I've got this, and all of a sudden you've got all of these incredible ideas. And then also you were talking about, painting. So you've also done like movement as well, with like different characters and different styles, and the way that you sketch those out, and also paint. So, and tell me about that, because you've been doing so many different creative things, from painting to sketching to illustrating to now, you're going to be doing animation. So talk to me about that. Like, how do you do all of these different, pieces of art, and kind of just absolutely take them and create the most amazingly incredible things, because just watching your work and following you and just seeing like what is Larissa created today, whether it's those beautiful owls that you did, or you know what I mean, this beautiful sketch. Everything is so unique, and that's what I love about you, Larissa, is that it truly is your voice, and each piece is yours. So talk to me about them.
Well, I think the one thing that I have that I think my teachers have told me in the past is that the one thing that I have that they can never teach is enthusiasm.
Mm.
And I have a lot of it.
Hmm.
It can be annoying to some people.
I love it.
Yeah, too
All
much
of it.
enthusiasm. A lot of my classmates are like, calm yours down, calm down. It's like morning class.
No.
But I'm like, dude, we're going to learn how to impressionistic paint outside today, or we're going to actually learn this new palette from Velasquez, or, Rembrandt's palette and whatnot. Like these are limited palettes, and we're expanding our colors, and color is hard. Color is very hard. It's difficult. Oh my gosh. Like, people play with color, and you're trying to understand the mood and everything. And you need to know the rules in art and painting, especially, before breaking them. So you can.
I was gonna say.
So I'm just like, I need to know the rules and discipline myself, and now I can break them. um, Honestly, I think it's mostly about art school. They make you definitely make you learn all kinds of different things. I know in my illustration major, I'm forced gouache, to sometimes watercolor, but then we go to charcoal dust, we go to color pencils, we go to even charcoal pencils, even, where we just do just collect dust and shavings from it, and then we just pull it up into this graphite box, and we just like we carve out like what it is on a big huge like weird ceramic canvas, and then we just put the graphite dust on it and just like blow it off and to make this imprint and stuff like that. Like we're forced to do a lot of different things. And it's good because you have to get experience of different mediums. For me, I've been like, in a sense, for my illustration with entertainment, I'm still like, we're always told to do oil painting, classical oil painting. But the amazing thing is that for me, even though it's not in my major, I have audited and done a bunch of oil painting classes anyways, because I want to improve on my painting. It's like I have, all the art teachers, especially for the seniors, are like, they're especially ones that is like, one of them is my was my environment teacher, but he was French, super French, right? Super French, but he's done stuff for Hotel Transylvania. He designed the castle. He's done stuff for, he's done stuff for Warner Brothers. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff for a lot of animation and film and Disney. And he did like, I don't know if he worked on Despicable Me or not, but he did a few of those. So he, it was great. It's really amazing. He worked for Cartoon Network for a bit, but oh, that's the pro, So of course he's like, work on your painting more. Everything else is okay, but work on your painting more. And I'm like, okay. So I'll just audit more painting classes. I have this determination and enthusiasm, and I just really want to be amazing. And I just want to push myself a little bit more. As an artist, you can't compare yourself. You can study artists' styles and whatnot, which is very important, because then you can actually kind of do master copies. Basically, you can try to understand what their mindness of what it is they put down the paint and whatnot, and what they're thinking. History of it is important. Yes. Techniques like this are passed on. Rembrandt had his own studio. He taught students, and this student taught to this student, and they built this huge painting because of it. That's how like Michelangelo and a lot of others did this. But it's basically been passed on. So the good thing about it is, to go to an art school, you really are forced to do all these different things. I say forced like it's a bad thing. It's not. But it is like eating your vegetables. I like eating my vegetables. You may not like it at first, but you'll enjoy it. And you realize,
I love it, Larissa.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely enjoy those vegetables because they are, those vegetables add to your growth. They add to your, your voice. The more that you learn, the more curious you are, the more you develop as an artist as well. And you may find that you love something like you want to get into an animation, being an illustrator, and it just kind of opens up all of these different doors. And what I love that you said is that you're enthusiastic. Whatever we talk about or we're collaborating on, and you're like, oh yes, I got this and I got this, and that energy is it's so infectious and wonderful. And that's when you know that you're truly doing what you love, and it's that light that that just shines through you, and you can't help but just share that with everybody. And it doesn't matter if they're like, oh, tone it down, whatever it is, that they're feeding off of it, right? Because it's that positive, beautiful, creative energy. And you do, and also, Larissa, like, you do such different types of work, and you're always very open to feedback. I think for you, like, I see your posts and stuff, and you're very like, doing this, just very honest, just working it out, seeing if, if I could do this, but if it's better, whatever it is. And I'm always like, Larissa, that's like awesome. I'm like, that is pretty incredible. You know what I mean? And I love that you say you can't compare yourself to anyone, because you can't, and why would you want to? That person's already there doing what they love, and you are here doing what you love and sharing your voice, right?
Yeah.
Which is most important.
Yeah, it's really, and for an artist, we have these, I mean, it's one thing that we're not very good at money, but we're also very emotional. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, we strive to improve, but what it is that we do feel like we need to compare ourselves, because we see art everywhere now. The internet is filled with it. People do comics and memes, online comics. People like freak out over what people do when they react to this GIF or whatever from like this, and they make a whole story based off of it and stuff like that. And people are like, what the heck? But you're like, oh my God, that's genius, you know? And you make these subtle stories like about raindrop and a candle and fire, and like they are lovers and they can't be together and stuff like that. And people are like, why am I crying over a raindrop and a candle? What the heck? But it's just so
Emotional.
yeah, it's about the emotion and passion, and that's definitely something that I can't control.
Right. And can you control it? I don't know. You can try and like wrestle it in a little bit, but why would you want to control that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you get inspired at different parts of the day, when you wake up in the evening. I mean, you can't gauge when you're going to be inspired, and that's the thing, is like, as artists, we're kind of, we don't have like, okay, on this day or on this episode or on this sketch or whatever. It's just when that inspiration hits us and that story starts to come together. So, what I want to know, kind of like from you, Larissa, because you do, you have so much going on all of these different places, and congratulations, because
Thank
I
you.
know that you have closed for this summer. Yes, school. So, are you
Hmm.
excited?
I'm excited because I've got projects to do on myself personally,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have commission work now. I'm doing like birthday cards and seasonal cards for like other things. And I think like to the point that my aunt is a businesswoman, so she's like, "Oh, we could, I want you to design. You're ready to like design stuff for like the occult and stuff like that." So like,
Mm-hmm.
because I draw some stuff about witches, and the history of paganism is very fascinating to me. So Yule, which was Christmas, or like the equinox, or the spring before Easter, which is called Beltane, and all that stuff. So these are like Celtic old pagan like holidays that still reside in Europe to this day. And I've drawn a few of those. My aunt's like, you can actually like create seasonal cards for these zodiac birthday cards and stuff like that. Like, I think I found your thing, so why don't you do that? And I'm like, I can do that. And she's gonna pick me. So I'm like, yes.
That's fantastic. So, and I love that you said that because you're very, you're very into like the mystical and, and I love that part and that's a part of you. So tell me a little bit more about that. How did you get interested in that kind of like, because everyone has their, what is special to them and unique to them, and that's their passion. So talk to me about that.
Well, I think it has to start with that I've always been fascinated with it, honestly, now that I think about it, because, you know, it's been always interesting on how we treat the outlaws or the misunderstood, especially things that are considered to be evil, and then I grow up realizing that's not really the case. It's very biased. So I learned that the idea of what we think a witch is has become so much more complex, and it's so much about pride and misogyny and whatnot. But at a young age, I've always been very fascinated with things that are mystical. I can't always put a logical answer to it. I just been residing to find it as my comfort for a very long time. And then, you research about it and you try to learn, is this really what it is? And it's not. It turns out to be something much more. And you realize, oh, it feels like from researching so much, paganism in like Europe was basically the stepping stone or the mother that reaches to Catholicism, Christianity, and other religions. But something had to start somewhere. But it's so amazing. That's what's so important about history, because you need to know where it all started. And to be honest, you can't erase that, because then you're not going to. You shouldn't like look at that and say that I'm ashamed that that's where I came from. You should look at it and say, look at how you've improved so far, Yeah, take those mistakes or those regretted pasts and regretted decisions and make it a lesson or an improvement, that kind of thing. And I think it's really what's been always fascinating with me is the way we treated it. Why do people seem to think they know what they know, in that kind of sense? And with me, that's sort of intrigued me enough to learn what is it that they think they know. And it turns out to be that I'm always asking why, and it's not enough. It's not enough. Like, does it come straight from like the soul? But what is the soul? Did it come from like the alternate world or some other universal plane and stuff like that? It's all very fascinating to me. And because of that, you kind of learn what the conscious becomes and what becomes of humanity and whatnot, and how it became to be, with the idea of how these feelings and compassion and how we found ways to understand the world, like with the zodiac and whatnot, and how we mapped the stars out to find out which place we were and whatnot. It was very, we used what we had, and over time we've improved with technology, and we should look at that and say, oh, look at what we've been done so far to help us get this far. So I've always been fascinated with those. I've always been fascinated, I guess, because I've also feel like the history of misogyny when it comes to witchcraft is very real. It's very obvious, and it's kind of amazing how it's still a thing. Because it's like, wow, it's like we can't move on from pride at all. So we have to feel one and special, and we have to lessen the other. So it's very, it's about pride, a lot of cases, and how that can affect us in a lot of bad ways.
And you express that in your, in your work too, like your illustrations, because that leads me into, your work, Larissa, like so you have, you've done different things for work and and also for school, and you've done work on my shows. But let's talk about you and your personal work, because I see it as well, and it's beautiful, right? And your illustrations. So talk to me about them, because your characters are really mystical and beautiful, and and definitely interesting. So tell me a little bit about them. Are they based on, your kind of the history or?
A little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, History and like something personal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am I have a disability. I have Asperger's syndrome. So I am also people either categorize that as a disability or a mental illness. The thing is that it's very hard because I'm cerebral. I'm always thinking. It's very hard. So that's also what I suffer with when it comes to art is that I overthink on some things. I'm always thinking. I
Mm-hmm.
have to think simplistically and not overthink the vagueness,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard because life isn't as vague as we think.
Right.
Even the vagueness can be a simple way, but you have to look through the complexity of that vagueness to see the simplicity of what the truth is. And the truth is something that's not tangible or anything like that. It's something that which we ourselves need to find in our own perspective. But anyways, um,
Absolutely.
I got really
Thank
intense
you
there.
for sharing that. No, Larissa, thank you for sharing that. That's incredible and inspiring. You really are. And I think just for in general, as artists, we tend to overthink things. We get inspired by an idea and then we're like, we start thinking about it and instead of just like letting it flow and just
Mhm.
writing it or painting it or whatever it is that we want to do with it, and we're constantly thinking, right, always in our thoughts. And it's whether those thoughts are leading us to the positive, the creative flow, or if we're just getting ourselves further away from it. So, and being aware of that. But I think that's what's most important. And you, with all of the thoughts that you do have, you're constantly creating, Larissa. And that truly is what I admire about you, among so many things. And just saying that, what you can do right now. What can you do right now to create whatever it is, whether, it's that scene or that board or that illustration or that background. And whenever I look, you've created like several.
Mhm.
In this span, I'm like, does Larissa sleep? And
No,
now, Larissa, I know,
I haven't seen it since
yeah,
I was
I got my
two.
matcha too. Trust me, I've got my matcha here. I know you do too. I'm like, literally, I will send you a message, and I'm on the East Coast and you're on the West Coast, and like you'll answer me. I'm like, but now, granted, I'm 3 hours, ahead of you, but it's so funny. I'm like, Larissa, and your energy is always boundless. You're always, it's so refreshing. Like I will be like, no matter what time it is, I know you're really tired because you've had a lot going on, but just your level of enthusiasm, I cherish. Yes.
I can't put any like thank you.
You're
There's no
welcome. You
there's
are
no
so welcome.
logical answer or reason behind it. It's just yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. It is the truth. So tell me, like, where's Larissa get her energy? Where does she get? I often ask, how do you fill your cup, right? So you give to your classes so that you can be the best. And I think that's what's most important is that you're like, I want to be as amazing as I can be. I want to give my personal best. And then you give it to everybody else as well. But how do you give it to Larissa? How do you nurture yourself, your life, and your creativity?
Well, I should sleep more. The other thing is that I have ADD and ADHD. Along with my insomnia and my Asperger's, I was born with this. I was a good baby, but by the time I was 2 years old, I learned how to crawl out of my bed, out of my crib, and my mom's like, "Oh my god!" I was like devil seed after that because she was following me around, scared that I will hurt myself or something in the middle of the night. Like, come on, let's go to bed. Hey, I'm starting to think that maybe it's my ADD and my ADHD and my disability and whatnot that's actually given me this ability to use because I get bored easily and I just need to keep myself busy. In a lot of cases, I'm cerebral, so I'm always thinking of other things, always thinking of other scenarios. And, for characters, I live in the trenches with them a lot.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll find myself crying for no reason, and it's only because I'm thinking of a sad situation or scene that will probably move me. Um, a song will come up, and it will remind me of them or their characters, or this instance that happened to them or could happen to them if I, to develop their character and whatnot and personality to the point that's like I'm gonna cry. um, yeah, I take Adderall, Cisterterra, and sleeping pills. That's good. That's good.
You are you, but you know what? I mean, really, Larissa, you're doing what you love. I mean, that truly is, that's the truth of everything, is that you, whatever you're working on, you're passionate about, and you have the support of your family, that love you, and that love from your family. And I talk about that all the time because that's so important, that no matter how creative we are and how much we're doing, that we take that family time and really nurture that, because that's what's really important. And I know, I don't know if he's there, but Charlie.
Oh, Charlie, she is probably outside my room. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm like waiting for her to like pop up. It's
She's probably outside my room.
Oh, I know. I'm like, I'm so excited to see her, but that's okay. She's probably busy.
Yeah, my dad's home, so she's probably like bothering him. He usually
I,
comes home with a snack, and she's like, "Hello."
I know. She's just, I love seeing her pictures. And if you don't know, Charlie is Larissa's angel baby. So I always love seeing her little posts.
She's my
And
child.
she's always just comfortable on the bed, living the amazing life as she should. And then
Hmm.
when you got up, I actually saw all of your drawings behind you. So there's some drawings behind you, right? Your little
Yeah,
creative area, which
bad
I
day Kate.
love.
Some are, bad day Kate stuff that I had. Some are like
Yes.
commissions, and some are notes and freshman year stuff. Ooh.
Yes, I love it. I was like peeking back there. I'm like, oh, I know that outfit. I've seen that. I love that little jumper. And yeah, absolutely. So I'm so super excited to have you on this talk, Larissa, because as I said, you truly are an inspiring artist and are going to do such incredible work. You already are, and if there's anything, like, what is you said about animation, right? So you've got all of these different drawings and illustrations and comic book art. And talk to me about, illustration, because, or animation rather, because it does take a long time to animate, as working on storyboards, right? And then you put it all together with your animatics, and then you add the amazing music to it, and
Hmm.
then and now it goes into the animation process, which is a whole other team of incredible artists working on that to bring that vision to life. So talk to me about that. Like, what is it that gets you going, like, I want to get into animation?
You know what? I honestly don't know. It's a beautiful, beautiful creation. It is art. Thank you very much.
Hmm.
There are some people that there's like, no, it's not art. I'm like, yes, it
Oh,
is.
yes, it is.
It's for drawing. For God's
Oh,
sakes.
oh,
That's
yes,
right.
it is very, very much a big A on the art. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, oh my gosh.
Yes.
You know what? It's crazy because, of course, I was born in 92. My parents worked at Disneyland. That's how they met.
Oh,
Adorable.
that is
So of course
amazing.
they were Disney people, and they brought me and my brother to Disneyland by the time I was like a week old after birth and stuff like that. My poor mom. Um, Back in her eyes. But me and my brother were always around this kind of, the art, and art basically for with Disney was all about that. But like the cool thing is that my dad was a UPS truck driver, and he had one of his clients, or the delivery people that he sent to, had a used VHS store that was going out of business. And he's like, you got any kids? And he's like, yeah, I got two. And he's like, okay. And he's given my dad to give to me, my brother, all these awesome movies. So I've got Swan Princess, Anastasia, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Gargoyles. I'm getting all these really like crazy other movies from Don Bluth,
Love Don.
Thumbelina.
Yes.
Oh my God, Don Bluth, he's probably part of it too. Oh, he's
Absolutely.
definitely
Yes.
there's Balto. Oh my God, like all these amazing movies.
Yes.
Back, A Dinosaur Story,
We
all
love
these
you, Don.
cartoons.
Yes.
Bananas and Pajamas. That wasn't a cartoon. No, the beginning was, but it was cute anyways.
Oh,
Bananas, and Pajamas,
yes.
like Fraggle Rock, the
Mm.
Muppets, the Muppet Babies.
Just keep going. Keep going.
Oh
It
my God,
just there's
Looney Tunes, Space Jam, uh, all of the old golden and silver classics of like Goofy and the shorts of Steamboat Willie and stuff from even Betty Boop. We had
yes.
stuff from Boop,
I
like
know.
Easy Cab Calloway as a ghost walrus, Betty Boop. Like, I'm gonna tell you about Minnie the Moocher, that old stuff, and we're just like,
Yes.
smokes.
I love it. Love it all. Yes.
So, gosh. So I was very influenced in these artistic animations, and I guess the other thing too was that my mom is a huge movie fan, classical
Mm-hmm.
movie fan.
Mm-hmm.
So of course she brought me up with The Thin Man, with Myrna Loy and William Powell. Me and my brother, we watched Doris Day and lots of Marilyn Monroe and Kim Novak and Elizabeth Taylor and tons, because her favorite hero is Katharine Hepburn. So tons and tons of Katharine Hepburn, Betty Davis. And so
Oh,
I,
love my Betty.
yeah, it's
Yes.
film was part of my life. Mom wanted to go into theater. She directed a film, directed a theater play in a college, and then her parents, my grandparents, were like, "There's no art, and there's no money in that. Go into journalism." So mom brought me up with writing, but she never got rid of all these beautiful books of Harry Potter and whatnot, classical books, and then all these amazing like animations and comic books and whatnot. So me and my brother had a lot of amazing stuff, but my brother was very mathematical scientist, and I was very like right right brain, like just visual,
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to draw. I was emotional and stuff like that. Like everything about me was like with art, and that's
An
all.
artist.
So, we're water and oil.
Yes.
We were water and oil, but you know, we got along. We got along kind of well. He's still an older brother, he's still a smart ass, but that's what an older brother is. I don't know. We get better as we get older.
Yes,
Just
we tend to grow, absolutely, and that's what really inspired you to into animation, and and a different art form altogether, right? A lot of different art forms that form an actual animation. And I always say, in my talks, it takes a big village, right? So
mhm.
it takes a big village to create an animation, and an incredibly talented artists, and to see, as a creator, to see your work start to come to life from just writing it down and referencing, and then it just from the boards to the animatics to the music coming in, and then seeing an animation come together. It's there are no words to express that kind of joy, and it truly is. And animation, especially for me, being a huge fan since I was like very, very little, from the cartoons to also Japanese anime, which is incredibly beautiful, and the style.
Service for me. Oh my God.
Absolutely, that storytelling is everything, and I think that is what, for me, just lights me up. And to be able to watch it, and then also to be involved in the creative process in animation, is just joy. So I think, I think you and I like feed off of each other in that joy, and how much we love it, and how excited we get, no matter what time it is. Or how tired we are, it's just something that really feeds us and nurtures our soul, which is so important. So, Larissa, I just want to say thank you so much for being on my Matcha Talk and sharing your story and with me. And I want to know, like, for those artists that are out there, what's something that is you can share with them, whether they're challenging some doubt or whatever it is, like what's an inspiring part of your journey and your process that you can share with everyone out there watching you right now?
I think for the most part, anything that is personal to you that you want to create in a very creative way, or something that, you know, that drives you, that gives you this sense of anger or passion, or anything that you feel to express, you should do it. I think and if you have a hard time putting the image together, Pinterest is a gold mine. Go on Pinterest and just look at all these amazing things. They even have tutorials just because it's awesome. I
Yes.
mean, it's filled like get I'm a book hoarder, and
I love
buying
books too.
myself I
Yes.
love buying myself so much art books. I have more art books in my other apartment where I'm like at school a lot than here. Actually, I brought most of them with me to my apartment. Then there's still more here that I have to go through. But like, you constantly give yourself inspiration. Go to the library. Just go to, it helps you be communal. Pinterest is a good place if you
Hmm.
just don't feel like energetic enough to walk up and just go. But the other thing is that we forget that our environments are filled with nothing but ideas and inspirations.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's
Yes.
helpful to learn about different people's perspectives and whatnot, and see how your life differs, especially your family life differs from another. And if you've moved in or shared roommates with anyone, you would know um, their lives are different than yours. The way they were brought up, the way they treat their clothes and everything. It just shows that they have either more leniency or they were more strict. But it's enough to fuel you ideas of what it is that you can create and do.
Hmm.
um, Little things really, and it's you just have to look. Sometimes you have to look twice in the very same place that you've been walking into to realize that there's something new there that you've never noticed.
Hmm.
Yeah, it really is about patience. um,
Yes.
Especially if you're in your 20s, you'll feel like you're running out of time with everything, and that's true.
What?
It's
Oh, stop.
true.
Oh, your life is ahead of you so many years. Oh, Larissa, you have so many wonderful years. And I think what you did touch on, which is so important, is making sure that your time, that you really are aware of your time and what you're doing and nurturing that. And also, you're doing what you can when you can,
Mhm,
but you're also taking care of yourself at the same time. And you definitely made a really good point. You're always around everything, and some things are inspiring,
mhm,
and some things inspire you in many different ways. As an artist, you can express, like you said, sometimes you're not happy, you're frustrated. You can go ahead and draw something and express that, or write a piece or put together a piece of music
mhm,
that expresses that in a positive way, right?
mhm,
That you can share with someone else who's going to align with that,
mhm,
which is most important. And to not judge yourself.
mhm,
Don't do that. Don't doubt, your voice, and to
mhm,
put it out there, because it's your voice.
mhm. And
And
sometimes
yeah.
you can't worry about what how many likes or reblogs or replies or comments you're going to get on something, because
Right.
in reality you've let it out. And the thing is that there are always going to be trolls in real life and online. They're going to tell you this sucks or this is horrible and stuff like that. Here's the thing. There's also going to be people out there that's going to say you've got something going, you can learn a disciplined format with this to give you a sense of what it is you should know.
Hmm.
And then you can improve from that and then go on to the next step and then get better and better. Because in reality, artists never retire.
Hmm.
We never
No.
retire.
There is
We never
no
retire.
retirement.
No,
No.
we never retire.
No.
It's true. We never retire.
It's who we are.
Yeah. So you just have to keep working. You have to
Yes.
keep just keeping yourself busy. You have to, if it helps you, keep keep a journal next to you before you go to bed and write down what it is that's,
Mm,
you know,
I love that.
that you have an idea of. Or sometimes you can't sleep and you're like, oh my God, I'm thinking too much, right? So just, yeah,
Yes.
just
Your mind starts going and going. Yeah. I love your journal. I completely agree with you. Write it down, get that
type it,
out.
yeah, type it down. You have a
Yes.
note app on your iPhone. You can do that.
Hmm. Yes, you can. Oh, I know, and you're always inspired. Your mind is always going, and even if you just like for a minute, like you write it down and then you just let it go. You just let it go, and then come back to it. You park all of these different ideas that you have and these points of inspiration. So, thank you so much for sharing with me, Larissa, and taking time out of your day. And congratulations on closing your, semester. And you now are going to be able to do your creative ventures, which I'm really, really excited about and excited to share. Your work on my website. And thank you so, so much, Larissa. You are an absolute positive light and a joy to work with and be around. And I just feel so fortunate to know you and to work with you, Larissa. And you are amazing. So thank you for being on my matcha talk with me. It has
Thank you
been
for having me.
it's been a true joy, Larissa. I'm like now I've gotten your energy on top of my matcha, and I'm like I'm all good to go now. I'm gonna go for as many hours as I need to. You're absolutely incredible. So thank you so much, Larissa, and go relax. Go give Charlie a big hug,
Mhm.
and have an absolutely wonderful day. Thank
You
you,
too.
Larissa. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Matcha Talk with the wonderful Larissa Marcano. She is just such a sheer joy, and I'm so happy and so fortunate to work with her. There are so many great things heading her way, and you can see her work on my animated series, Bad Day Kate, and Kate's spin off series, The Babies. You'll be able to view links to her work on my website, and you can view it from my Matcha Talk guest page, as well as Matcha Talk's Facebook page. So, thank you everyone again so much for joining us. And remember, do what you love and love what you do.